Does God forget you in a crisis? The answer to this very important question comes to us from 2 Kings chapter 4. And we're going to read from verse 8, and it says, "And it fell on the day Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was, that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is an holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber, and lay there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. Now, what we need to understand by this scenario that is playing out here in the book of 2 Kings is that no good deed that you do actually goes unrewarded. And because God is a fair God and He's a just God, He remembers the good things that you do on behalf of His people, on behalf of His cause, and on behalf of the less fortunate, and He rewards you for your goodness, for your good deeds. Beloved, there always is a reward for kindness. There always is a reward for goodness. And this is what it means when Scripture speaks about the justice and the mercy of God. This is an exemplary situation that will illustrate God's sense of justice. So Elisha was passing through Shunem. This lady saw Elisha. She invited him into her home with the spirit of hospitality. She met his physical needs. She helped him out. She discerned that he could be a prophet, a man of God. She provided for him that he can have an even more comfortable space to occupy when he passes through. And Elisha, in the spirit of discernment and thankfulness, was desirous of doing something good for this woman, not simply because she did something good for him, not simply because he recognized that she made provision for him, but because of the goodness and mercy of God in never forgetting any good thing that you do, in never forgetting your sacrifices, in never forgetting your hardships, and giving you a reward for faithfulness and allowing your spirit to be touched, because Scripture is very clear. It says, every good gift and every perfect gift cometh down from the Father of lights, in whom there is no variableness or shadow of turning. If some person does something good, it is inherently not because of themselves, because our nature is inherently sinful. It is because of the goodness of God, and it is because they responded to the Spirit of God. Now let us see what was the end result of this simple and signal act of kindness that the Shunammite woman showed to Elisha, and the fruit that she was able to reap in her life as a result. After this question was asked her by Elisha, and Gehazi suggested that she did not have her son and her husband was old, God told the Shunammite woman through Elisha that she will have a son. And she said, brother, don't play with me, don't deceive me. And he told her, you will have a son by this same time next year. And she did have this son. And in the course of the son's life, there came a time where he died, and Elisha had to go and pray for the boy to raise the boy back to life again. And so she still had her son, but that was not the real reward. The real reward came in 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 1 to 8, and it shows the extent, the far-reaching extent that your kindness to an individual can have. And so do not be forgetful to entertain or to help strangers, for in so doing some have entertained angels unawares, according to the book of Hebrews. But also in so doing you are laying a foundation for good things to continuously have an effect in your life and possibly save your life in the future. So in 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 1 onwards to verse 8, there was now a serious crisis that had arisen in the state of Israel. Then spake Elisha unto the woman whose son he had restored to life, saying, Arise, and go thou and thine household, and sojourn wheresoever thou canst sojourn, for the Lord hath called for a famine, and it shall also come upon the land 7 years. And the woman arose and did after the saying of the man of God, and she went with her household and sojourned in the land of the Philistines 7 years. So notice, beloved, because this woman was kind to Elisha, provided his needs, considerate of him by providing a room, God responded in kind by giving this woman a son. But the blessings of the Lord did not end there, and this is why the scripture says, the blessings of the Lord, it maketh fat, and he addeth no sorrow to it. The blessings of the Lord, it make it rich. And so this is the rich result of the blessings of the Lord in this woman's life. And as a matter of fact, in Psalms 41 verse 1 to 3, it says, Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be blessed upon the earth, and thou wilt not deliver him unto the will of his enemies. The Lord will strengthen him upon the bed of languishing, thou will make all his beds. So God strengthened this young man when he died upon his bed of languishing. Here God is blessing this woman and delivering her in the time of trouble, because famine was surely a time of trouble, beloved. And this is the promise and this is the blessing of God. And notice, God sent this woman a warning message to let her know personally a famine is coming. Preserve yourself by taking these measures. So does God forget us in a crisis? No, beloved, but we can forget God in our times of peace, in our times of pleasure, in our times of happiness, in our times of fullness. And because we forget God, we are now laying a foundation of lack and want in the time of famine and in the time of crisis in our own life. But because this woman did not forget God when things were good, when things were going to be bad, God remembered her and assured her that it was a result of her actions, because she was master of her own destiny. And so we are masters of our own destiny. Too many people forget God in their times of wealth. Too many people forget God in their times of happiness, and they affirm that yes, they are their masters, they are the masters of their own destiny. It was by their hands that they achieved all of these things. It was the fact that they studied and they made the very different connections that they were to make that brought them wealth and happiness and good times. When the crisis comes, people all cast upon God aspersions upon his character and say, if God was good, he would not allow the crisis to happen. But were you not the master of your own destiny when things were happening for you in the time of peace? So God shows us that indeed we are the masters of our own destiny, and their moves that we make, their things that we do, their decisions that we come to, that create the future for us in our life. Indeed, we are masters of our own destiny. And so by moving according to biblical principle, you create a destiny for yourself where God warns you of the things that are to come, and He puts you in a position of favor. So yes, you are the master of your own destiny, and so you can follow divine and biblical principle, and you can be preserved in the time of trouble as a result. And so this is so profound and this is so beautiful that at the end of the famine, when she sojourned in the Philistines' land 7 years, and it came to pass at the end of 7 years that the woman returned out of the land of the Philistines, and she went forth to cry unto the king for her house and for her land. And the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, Tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elisha hath done. And it came to pass, as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son, whom Elisha restored to life. And when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed unto her a certain officer, saying, Restore all that was hers, and all the fruits of the field since the day that she left the land, even until now. Beloved, this is profound, because the timing of God was perfect. You do not lose nothing in showing kindness to an individual. You do not lose nothing in helping those who are in need. You do not lose nothing, beloved. You can only gain. And because of her goodness to the man of God, she gained and she gained and she kept gaining. Do not allow the devil to deceive you that to help some person who is in genuine need takes something from you or robs you. You do not rob any person, and you do not rob your own soul. And this is why there's a blessing in Psalms 41 pronounced upon those who consider the poor, that the Lord will deliver him. The Lord will deliver them in the time of trouble. The Lord will preserve them and keep them alive. And God preserved the Shunammite woman and kept her alive in the 7 years of famine, because she was merciful to the poor, beloved. And this is why in Isaiah 58 verse 10 and 11 it says, And if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water whose waters fail not. Beloved, this is profound. This is deep. This is tremendous. God does not forget you in a crisis. He remembers you. He remembers the good things and the good deeds that you did for others, how you exemplified practical godness, or a heart of kindness, or a heart of compassion and grace, regardless of who you are. And He preserves you in the time of trouble. So if you do not forget, if you do not want to be forgotten in a time of crisis, you do not forget other people when they are going through their times of crises, beloved. When a person is going through their crisis, when a person is going through their personal time of trouble, and you remember them, God will remember you when the entire world is going through its time of trouble, a general time of trouble. But people go through their personal times of trouble every month, every week, every day, every year. And this is why even in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, there are people who are thriving in it, because they have been living in crisis mode for so many years that this is nothing. So God will not forget you in the general time of trouble, because you remembered people when they were in their times of trouble that was personal and literal and local to them. God is fair, beloved, and God is just. So if we do not want to be forgotten, we should not forget those who are in need. This is why Proverbs chapter 3 verse 25 says, "Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh, for the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken." Why is it that God is going to be your confidence and keep your foot from being taken? Because you are blessed, because you were considering the poor, and He's promised to deliver you in the time of trouble. But I don't have to go back to Psalms 41 to draw that reference. It's right here also in Proverbs chapter 3 from verse 26. It says, "Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh, for the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken." And it draws the same reference: "Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hand to do it. Say not unto thy neighbor, Go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee." So, beloved, He sets the stage, He sets the foundation that you will not be afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. God is going to be your confidence, because you had accustomed yourself in being merciful to others, and therefore God will be merciful to you. Remember the Lord's Prayer: "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." And as we are merciful to others, God will be merciful to us. If you want to be a recipient of God's mercy, as Christ says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." And if we want to obtain the mercy of God in a crisis, we must be merciful to those who are going through their individual crises. Remember this, beloved, and we will be preserved in the time of trouble. This is the Word of Life with Andre Knight.